Satan found a man, three things, pastor, three, don't forget this please. Every time Satan finds a man, he's interested in three things. Number one, the handing over of the will of that man to him. Number two, the building of a system that is loyal to him. The Bible says, and Cain departed from the presence of God. Are we together? And when he departed from the presence of God, that means willfully, he was no longer in submission to the authority of the kingdom. And the Bible says he built a city. From that day, every time Satan finds men, he's obsessed with building cities. The Tower of Babel, Darius building Babylon, Herod, till tomorrow. Every time Satan finds men, his obsession is to build a system and a city that does not honor God. This is the system we call Babylon, a representation of the Antichrist system. This is the system and the operation that controls our social environment that we call cosmos. Are we together now? And Satan did that by programming a set of beliefs and an approach to life. The Bible calls it, in one word, aeon, the thinking pattern that comes with the age. So he says, Romans chapter 12 and verse 1, I beseech you, brethren, therefore, it says, by the mercies of God, that ye offer your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable unto God. He calls it your reasonable act of worship or service. Verse 2, it says, and be not conformed to this world. It's not the word cosmos, it's the word aeon. There is a thinking pattern like a software. That is the mindset that is responsible for this architecture we call Babylon. So the three Hebrew boys said, no, we will not bow to you. O king, we respect you. But when it has to do with building a government and a system that is not consistent with kingdom, we will not bow. And there was a consequence. I don't have the time to go to the book of Daniel and show you, but please do well to read the entire book of Daniel. You will find out, sir, that when it had to do, Satan never projects himself, he projects self. Once it is self, Satan is glorified, even if it is not him. You read Revelation 13, the same thing. Satan does not come out to say, I am Satan. He just says anything that is not God is welcome. Nebuchadnezzar built whose image? Please talk to me. Whose image? So the moment you find yourself magnifying and glorifying self, don't ever be deceived. It is still Satan masquerading through an agency he has designed called self. So when you know this as a man of God, whilst you teach, you don't just sit down and just religiously say as the Spirit leads. You can bring teachings that dethrone self in people, because every manifestation of self, I tell you, is Satan. When Cain built a city, he named it after his son to glorify himself. When Nimrod Cush in Genesis 11, theologically speaking, you know that Nimrod killed his father and married his mother Semiramis, who is purported to be the queen of heaven. Are we together now? Yes, that's theology. Nimrod Cush gathered the people. They went to the land of Shinar, and he says, go to come, let us build brick and mortar, and let us build a city whose top will reach the heavens. Now there are many theological debates whether that was a physical kingdom or spiritual kingdom. One thing we know is that it was a threat, because God himself came down to destroy it. The fall of man is not just about sinning against God. It's deeper than that. The fall of man is not just about disobeying God. The fall of man is an attempt to glorify self. So just because you are free from sin does not mean the journey has finished. There is the next assignment, to dethrone self. If we don't teach believers this, the moment that's why we have many people in church who get born again and say, I'm born again for 10 years. Now he becomes a deacon, now he becomes a worker, and you still see self. You are not free until self dies. No matter how born again you are, if self is still alive, there is a legitimate ground for the devil to be glorified in and through your life. Are we blessed? So man fell. From that time,